Hey, welcome back. It's good to have you here. I want you to picture something for a moment. Imagine a home you've lived in your whole life. The walls, the streets, the smell of the air after a rain. Now imagine that home slowly, methodically, becoming uninhabitable. The rains don't stop, or they never come. The streets are underwater, or the well has been dry for years. The choice isn't about a better life anymore. It's about any life at all. So you leave. You pack what you can carry, and you head for a border. And at that border, you are told you have no right to be there. Your reason for fleeing isn't in the rulebook. You are not a refugee. You are, in the eyes of the law, simply undocumented. A problem. I'm Ibnul Jaif Farabi, and this is the unraveling thread. Today, we're pulling on one of the most urgent and contentious threads of our century, the idea of a climate passport. The right to flee, not from war or persecution, but from a collapsing environment. And what that means for our deeply entrenched concepts of borders, justice, and who deserves safety. This isn't a distant, abstract future. It's happening right now. I think of my own home, Bangladesh, a country where climate change isn't a debate, it's a daily erosion. In the coastal south, saltwater intrusion is poisoning farmland and drinking water. Riverbanks are dissolving. People are already on the move, from the Sundarbans to the slums of Dhaka. And Dhaka itself is sinking under the weight of this internal displacement. This is the first stop on a journey that, for many, will eventually have to cross an international border. But under the 1951 UN Refugee Convention, these people, my fellow Bangladeshis, the citizens of sinking Pacific islands, farmers from sub-Saharan Africa, have no legal standing. The convention recognizes persecution based on race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or social group. It says nothing about persecution by a rising sea or a starving sky. So we arrive at this stark, legal void. And into this void, a provocative idea has emerged, the climate passport. The concept isn't about handing out actual passports to everyone. It's a framework, a legal and moral argument. Proponents, like the philosopher and economist Professor Stephen Gardiner, suggest it would be a grant of citizenship or legal residency from the countries most responsible for greenhouse gas emissions to the people most vulnerable to its effects. Think of it as a form of climate reparations, but with a human face. It's not just about financial compensation. It's about offering a literal place to stand. The core principle is one of historical responsibility and distributive justice. The nations that built their wealth on fossil fuels, that occupy the lion's share of the atmospheric commons, owe a debt to those who contributed the least but are losing the most. Now, let's be clear. The political opposition to this is immediate and formidable. Borders are the ultimate symbol of national sovereignty. The idea that a country could be obligated to accept people not because of a direct, individual threat of persecution, but because of a global, systemic crisis it helped create, that challenges a foundational pillar of the modern nation-state. Critics argue it's unworkable. Who qualifies? Is it every farmer facing drought? Every coastal homeowner? Where do you draw the line? They warn of opening floodgates, of overwhelming social systems, of a loss of control. And beneath these practical concerns, there's often an unspoken, deeper anxiety about demographic and cultural change. The climate passport forces us to confront an uncomfortable question. Do we value the integrity of our borders more than the survival of people those borders arbitrarily lock out of safety? But here's where the narrative often gets stuck. It becomes a binary, open borders versus fortress worlds. And I think that's a failure of imagination. The real conversation about the climate passport isn't about a single policy switch we flip tomorrow. It's about beginning the arduous, essential work of reweaving the global social contract. It's a North Star for a new kind of politics. Because right now, our system is perfectly designed for what's already happening. Climate displacement being treated as a security threat, a matter of border patrols and deterrence, rather than a humanitarian imperative. We are preparing for climate conflict, not climate compassion. Let's bring this home to a personal reflection. As an engineer and an entrepreneur now based in New York, I live at the heart of one of those historically responsible nations. My carbon footprint is orders of magnitude larger than that of a farmer in Barisal or a fisherman in Satkhira. I benefit from the system that caused the crisis. And yet, my roots are in the soil that's washing away. This duality is my reality. It's the reality for millions in the diaspora. We are bridges between the front lines and the command centers of the crisis. And that position tells me that justice cannot be purely transactional. It has to be relational. The climate passport, as a concept, forces that relationship. It makes the connection between the SUV in a suburban garage and the flooded village in a way a carbon tax, abstract and impersonal, never quite can. It says, your actions have consequences, and those consequences have names and faces and a right to a future. It moves the crisis from the realm of environmental policy into the realm of human rights. That is its radical power. So where does this leave us? The climate passport is not a magic wand. It's a demand for legal innovation in a world of rigid, outdated institutions. It's a demand for a moral reckoning with history. And most of all, it's a demand to redefine what we mean by we. In a heated, drowning world, does our circle of concern end at the border? Or can we expand it to encompass those our way of life has, quite literally, displaced? The unraveling thread of climate change is pulling at the seams of our global order. We can try to stitch those seams shut with ever tighter border controls, or we can try to weave a new, more resilient fabric, one based on justice, not just jurisdiction. The climate passport is a pattern for that new weave. It reminds us that the right to flee a dying place is fundamental, and the obligation to provide shelter when you are the cause of the destruction is perhaps the deepest form of justice there is. Thank you for spending your time with me today, for following this thread. If this conversation resonated with you, if it made you think, please share this episode. It's through these discussions that we begin to change the narrative. Subscribe to the Unraveling Thread wherever you get your podcasts. For more from us, visit our producers at Light Not Studios. https://www.lightnotstudios.com. I'm Ibnul Jaif Farabi. Until next time, take care.